The issue is when media and journalists, which I use loosely, elevate this to Pearl Harbor, which some have, and to a grave attack and threat on our democracy. What that is meant to do, particularly on cable news, which skews to an older audience, is it's all meant to distract us from reality. And reality is this. That's reality. That is where your money has gone for the last 40 years. It's all gone to the yacht owners, to the Chamber of Commerce, to the real estate developers, to the fossil fuel executives, to the big pharma executives, to the Wall Street financiers, and the politicians that enable and are accomplices to them all. That is all of the money hoarding to the top, with the rest of the money going, our money, going all the way down. That is till 2015, so it's probably way worse. Accompanied with productivity skyrocketing, us, while that productivity is only, that's why that red line is going up, because of that blue line, the productivity, whereas our hourly compensation, essentially static, frozen in time. So how do you distract people from that? Objectively, if the biggest political machine in American political history, the Clintons, maybe other than the Kennedys, what was a bigger machine, loses to a game show host, objectively, maybe media, a Democratic Party, think tanks, the whole revolving door might examine, wow, maybe there's a real outcry, maybe there's a real rebellion in this country against neoliberalism, against incrementalism, against the public-private partnership model, against, the toxic influence of money in politics. Maybe there's a populist revolt growing in our jobs being offshored to foreign countries for the last 30 years. Maybe we need to shift our policies, shift the way we raise money and fund campaigns so that we could start winning again. But that didn't happen in 2016. That didn't happen in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. It's become a never-ending red scare. And I always fight with certain people in my life saying, you are indulging and drinking the Kool-Aid of this steady propaganda. Again, that doesn't mean Russia is not trying to quote unquote interfere through fake Facebook pages, through propaganda online, the bots, all these things. But when it becomes this 24/7 hysterical overreaction, that's when you see stories that are easily debunked. And more importantly, a never-ending narrative that forms that is meant to distract us so we don't have to actually report or focus on any of the economic realities of capitalism. And here we have just one more example, folks. This came out today. U.S. Commander, Intel still hasn't established Russia paid Taliban bounties to kill U.S. troops. Quote, it just has not been proved to a level of certainty that satisfies me, General Frank McKenzie told NBC News. McKenzie oversees the U.S. troops in Afghanistan. Well, you don't say. And this is a credit to this commander for even acknowledging this. I was kind of surprised to see it. 2 months after top Pentagon officials vowed to get to the bottom of whether the Russian government bribed the Taliban to kill American service members, the commander of troops in the region says a detailed review of all available intelligence has not been able to corroborate the existence of such a program. Quote, it just has not been proved to a level of certainty that satisfies me, General Frank McKenzie, commander of the U.S. Central Command, told NBC News. McKenzie oversees U.S. troops in Afghanistan. The U.S. continues to hunt for new information on the matter. This really reminds me, I mean, obviously it's not the same thing, but this really reminds me of when we went to war in Iraq, citing weapons of mass destruction. And then after we launched the troops and after the war started, you heard things from generals, the Bush administration, and others saying, yeah, we're still looking for the weapons. We're still inspecting, to get confirmation. Quote, "We continue to look for that evidence," the general said. "I just haven't seen it yet, but it's not a closed issue." This part really, really is precious. McKenzie's comments, reflecting a consensus view among military leaders, underscores the lack of certainty around a keyword, let me highlight this, a narrative that has been accepted as fact by Democrats and other Trump critics, including presidential nominee Joe Biden, who has cited Russian bounties in attacks on President Donald Trump. So this is important. I want to show you one of the bylines on this story. Bylines just means authors. Ken Delanian. Ken Delanian is a former, Jen, if you could check me on it, I think he worked for the FBI, maybe Homeland Security. I'm not sure which one. Formerly worked in intelligence, now a quote-unquote journalist. He has pushed a lot of these Russiagate stories. So Mr. Delanian in this piece writes, McKenzie's comments reflect a consensus view among military leaders, underscoring the lack of certainty around a narrative that has been accepted as facts by Democrats and other Trump critics. Well, how exactly did that narrative that Russia had literally been paying bounties to the Taliban to kill American soldiers, how does that narrative start for the Democratic Party and Trump critics to start picking it up? I don't know. Maybe people like Ken Delanian? This is from June. An official familiar with the intelligence tells me it shows that American service members and Afghan civilians died as a result of bounties paid by the Russians. But many national security officials, not politicals, continue to downplay this intel. So many unanswered questions. Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Former, Jen just sent it to me, hold on. This guy used to work for the CIA. Here's a story from The Intercept. The LA Times, hold on. The CIA's mop-up man. LA Times reporter cleared stories with agency before publication. This is when this guy was at the CIA. So he basically, before he got to NBC, would basically have the CIA approve his stories. I mean, you don't send your stories to the CIA or anybody. I mean, in the past, I've sent, hey, I'm hearing this. What do you have to say? Do you have a comment? Or, hey, I'm just checking, is this the number of X, Y, and Z? But I would never send full on story to people that are the subject of the story before publishing it. That's not journalism, that's politics. So I just find it incredible that in this story on NBC News, because essentially commanders have been coming out saying, hold the phone, there's no actual evidence that Russia paid the Taliban to kill American troops, which Biden has used in speeches and emails. NBC has gone 24/7 hysterical, MSNBC, Rachel Maddow, CNN. He has the cojones to talk about the narrative that's been formed when he's the one that created the narrative in the first place. You could be wrong about a story. Your sources could lead you wrong. It's happened to me before. You could just make an honest mistake. That's life, that's journalism, and you correct it. But these are not honest mistakes. These are people like Ken Delanian literally reporting just shit he's told by people in the CIA or NSA or Homeland Security or whatever. Yeah, he kind of straddles the line. I'm being told this by U.S. intelligence, but some officials don't, are downplaying it. So many unanswered questions. Then why are you reporting it? If you don't know for sure, if you haven't seen any documents that actually provide any conclusive evidence, did you find communications between Russia and the Taliban? Did you find money transactions, wirings, in the old days of journalism, actual evidence? It's unbelievable And again, this isn't Watergate, but the point is, by these constant stories on Russia, and again, this isn't because I'm defending Donald Trump. Do I think Donald Trump has a soft spot for Putin? I certainly do, because I think he likes authoritarian leaders. I also think possible Donald Trump has a soft spot for Putin because Donald Trump has been laundering money since the 1980s through the mafia, including Russian sources. So yeah, I would have a soft spot too if I don't want that exposed by Putin. I also think, frankly, Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump. He ain't gonna be president forever. If you actually Google it and look it up, a lot of Donald Trump's real estate sales are with Russian oligarchs. So, not that that's an innocent explanation, but there was always another side, which was never actually discussed, of why Donald Trump would be so deferential to Vladimir Putin. Just like he's so deferential to Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia. He cares about himself and his business interests. NatSec, national security. So it's just incredible because this, and it's not just this NBC reporter. Essentially what we've had for 4 or 5 years is essentially reporters with their sources in the CIA, FBI, who feed them stuff. But what this does, this constant Russiagate, it does many things. Number one, it keeps older voters, because older voters and older people generally watch CNN and MSNBC. Not all older people, as I always say. A lot of progressives are older. Our audience have a lot of older people. We love you. But by the numbers, the people watching MSNBC and CNN are not younger people. They are above the age of 60 in most cases. It keeps them numb. It keeps them thinking, oh no, Hillary didn't lose because, moderates and, conservative Democrats and neoliberalism has gone out of style. Hillary didn't lose because people are tired of crumbs. Hillary didn't lose because, people are getting sick and rebelling against capitalism. People are tired of all the money being given to Wall Street vultures. No, it's because of Russia. They stole the election. And we're already seeing that excuse and rationalization starting to be preemptively put in place if Biden loses. Kamala Harris, in an interview, just said Russia's already interfering. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.